And so I want you to take your paper, and I'm going to have to draw it kind of so the people at home understand what I'm talking about. You're going to have your paper. I want you to fold it to where, fold it or draw a line straight down the middle. So this half is going to be proportions. This half is going to be means, and we're going to talk about state plan to conclude back and forth with both of them. All right, so you have line paper, so I like it that if you do an arrow, it's obvious what it goes with. So somewhere off to the side, you can write it up here. We're going to do state. All right, so yes, I need the fact that this is proportions. Let's go ahead and do proportions on this side. And means over here. So what is the first thing that we do for proportions with state? Population. And then you actually find it context, but we're doing the comparison method more than the write all the descriptive stuff. Do I do that for means? So that stays the same. What's the next thing that I do? Do I do that for means? Make sure I put my Google Meet. What's the next thing I do for proportions? And I define what? And you can squiggle whatever you want for like, yeah, I actually write words there. I don't care how you do that. Am I going to define P when I'm dealing with means? Instead, I'm doing what? And then the last part for proportions, I'm doing what? And we're definitely going to have a number, we're going to have a direction here, but what symbol has to go in here? And if you want to do it like a two-directional, where we usually do it less than equal to, that's fine. Instead over here, we're changing what? It's in terms of X bar. So that gets us through state. For plan, what is the first thing we do for proportions? 10% condition. And that's up to you how much of this you want to write. I'm just doing the comparison, not the writing out the descriptions. Do we do the same thing for means or something different? So I'm just going to write n is greater than or equal to 10n. There are ... And that's not like you have line paper, so whatever you write, you can literally show that it goes over. What's the next thing that I do for plan? All right, so normal is different. So normal for proportions, we have to check what? And what's the other one? But for means, instead, we have our two options. And again, depending on if you want to shorthand this or write it out a little bit more, our first option is Then the problem that the population distribution is normal. Or, and I'm going to slide this off in a second. What's the other option?
Central.
And what do I check in central limit theorem?
And it's good.
And that is where people get mixed up the most between the two, is they try to use central limit theorem for proportions, and you cannot do that. So the only thing you can check for proportions for normal is n times p, n times 1 minus p. And then in both of them, so what do I always end with after normal? We can use normal approximation. And that has to happen for both of them. And so that gets us to the end of plan. So we started to talk about this a little bit. What are my variables that I need to get for proportions? And then we already said this, but here it's n and mu and sigma. And then so here we do our mean of the sampling distribution. So I do mu of, which equals just p, number. Whereas in my other one, I'm writing it as what instead? And it equals so my next thing is standard deviation. So sigma of p hat equals what? And this is probably something I would definitely want to throw in my study guide. So then here we have sigma of x bar, and how do you find sigma of x bar? And so then I'm writing this in terms of p parentheses, something with p hat, p parentheses, something with x bar. Now usually I write the z beside of that, but so I can show that it stays the same. So I have a p parentheses z for either one of them. And then however much you want to write of that. Oh, I should have done something up here and done because 10% condition in both of these. Depending on how shorthand you get here. Now, some of you are going to write more than others down here. I probably wouldn't write much. I would do like find area, draw shade. Because it means that whole process, but that whole process stays the same. And now conclude, I'm gonna write separated line by line to show what stays the same and what changes. So for conclude, where does it start? What's the very first thing? What? What's the very, very beginning of conclude? If we were, so how far can I continue and that shows that it stays the same? So if we were to randomly select, that says same. In individual, so all of that stays the same. So I'm gonna write all that on one line. And hopefully you have more room than I do up here. That says specific individuals. Showing that that part of it stays the same. So here we're saying when what? As opposed to here we're saying when so thinking about the way that I write the generic of the rest of it, is there anything else that's different? Not really. I mean, you write meter, you write proportion, but I don't remember how I wrote it. Something in context, number, direction, and context. If you fit all this all in one line, that's good. But I'll just show that all of that stays the same. So I think it's nice for you to like visually see what's going to be the exact same and what's going to be different. So what you're looking for to remember, what to do, what not to do, what changes in each problem. And then I want you to have out, we're going to do a practice problem without this in front of you. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and like grade it. So either put everything up and only have a sheet of notebook paper out, or like just have it where you can't see it. So I want you to go straight into answering this 4-step process written out correctly. I could freeze it.